Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, America's Cup fans. Welcome back to the Inside Tack and welcome to the 37th America's Cup, the match. Today, Ineos Britannia raced Emirates Team New Zealand in race 1 and 2 of the match for the 37th America's Cup. As I'm sure you know, Emirates Team New Zealand took both the wins today. We're going to talk you through our analysis, our kind of points that we've taken out of that racing from today, and we're joined as always by Head of Sailing, got the title right for the first time this time.
Nice, mate.
Thanks, buddy. Giles Scott, and pre-start coach and tactical coach Ian Williams. So, Giles, conditions today, we pushed off the dock. We knew that there was going to be a bit of cloud cover in the morning. Cappy said when the cloud cover cleared, we could see up to 14s, but...
Yeah, we had light winds. The rain was hanging around the city in the morning, which was just holding the breeze off. We went out there, delayed our hoist, sat around for a bit, and the breeze slowly began to fill in. And yeah, we ended up with racing around in 8 to 11, 12 at times. It
was kind of sub 10 knots-ish all day, right?
Yeah,
roughly.
little puffs over at times, but yeah, generally light and quite a bit of sea state around as well.
That's right, and the kind of randomness of the day for me was personified when you're talking late to the boat about what wind readings you get off the top marks and what wind readings you get off the bottom marks. And I remember about 10 minutes before entry to the first race, you had up to like 11 knots at the windward marks and only 4.5 at the bottom, right? It really was struggling to get down the course.
Yeah, it was, and it was it was tricky to get any warm up done today for both teams with the wind not filling in and butting up right against the start time, and then the wind suddenly built actually quite quickly, so we weren't delayed too long. But yeah, it just filled in from the southwest, and it was a lot further right than what we've seen it generally. Like when we've had these, the racing in the southwest has been about 200, 210. Today we were seeing, righties towards 260s at times. So the race course was very different today than what we've seen previously. And
just remind our fans watching at home, a lot of them ask, can you have communication to the boat during the race, like an NFL coach inputting into their quarterback? What's your cut-off time for communicating into us?
You cannot for racing, and you've got until 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So up until the warning signal, you can talk, and then Rydell they switch our comms off, so it's only the crew on board that can talk to one another, and our circuit's cut off, and we're just a chase boat loop from that point on.
Yes. Pre-start 1. In fact, let's not go into pre-start 1 with you quite yet, Ian. We'll get there. Don't worry. Pre-start 1, Giles. Now, I know Robbie Wilson mentioned it during the broadcast when they come live to him in Chase 4, and Ben has mentioned it in the mix zone.
Yeah.
We had a bit of a battery thing, which set us a little bit late off onto our kind of time runs to our entries, which was pretty unfortunate, right?
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Not how we'd have wanted the run-in work to our first entry. As you say, a bit of a delay with a bit of a battery issue that held the chase boat alongside for a little bit longer than what we normally would, which led to us being late for this first starboard entry.
Right, Ian, talk us through our first pre-start in this America's Cup. As Giles said, it wasn't something that we anticipated being obviously this late, but this is how the sport is. Team New Zealand entered on time, as you'd expect, and there we are out on the far boundary, kind of getting ready to enter on starboard.
Yeah, we were obviously a little late for the entry, but it didn't really affect us in that I'm not sure what they were trying to do here, but maybe they're trying to
Tacking gas?
give us some bad air or something to prevent us from getting into the box. But either way, we actually got a pretty nice spot, separated to windward. It's what you would normally want in a match race start. But I think there was a combination of factors here. They just did maybe a slightly better job of their trigger pull, maybe with a little bit of their gas. And you can see they've got a bit of a speed edge at start time. And that combined with a little bit of a left shift that they got at the boundary meant they ended up in a strong position. So combination of factors, some out of our control, maybe some in our control as well.
Giles, a smidge of pin bias on that as well, as Ian was talking about. There was a left shift when they got to the left, but a smidge of pin bias or not?
Yeah, there was a bit of a lefty, just making that pin quite strong, and it is tricky for the teams to keep on top of that through these pre-starts, because when you're circling around and reaching around in the yachts, it's pretty hard to get a really accurate wind direction off the yacht.
And no cal time as well, so but both yachts were having problems with the calibration at this point, because there's no warm-up time to get that dialed in.
Now, explain that a little bit further in. What do you mean by sort of calibration?
Well, not really my department, but what the clever people do is that when we sail around and practice before the start, they tweak the instruments so that they read the accurate wind speed and wind direction.
Right.
And they have to do that every day on these yachts to have it accurate. And if you just pull the sails up and go start like that,
which is effectively what we did today.
Which is what we did, and it was a problem that both yachts had, but it just means that the information you're getting is you can't trust it in quite the same way, which makes it much more difficult to control these situations.
It is amazing how hard it is to get an accurate wind direction and wind speed to the yacht with all the upwash. There's so much going on, and it's not a new problem.
Yeah.
But with yachts that travel this fast, it has pretty big implications as to some of the instrumentation that all the sailors use. And as Ian said, it's not a battle it's a battle that all teams are fighting.
And to finish race one, I was on the boat, so obviously I have no idea what went on. But first two laps felt all rightish. I mean, I think Ben said in his press conference, feels like two evenly matched boats. Maybe they had a sniff upwind speed performance, call it. We had a sniff downwind performance, but kind of what we would have expected from them when they're ahead, Giles.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're going to spend a lot of time tonight having a proper look at it. But yeah, I think if either boat was ahead, the likelihood is that they would have managed to keep it that way. I think with the race course today, upwind especially, it was not easy to know where to put the yacht, but there were gain features that both teams are picking up on. And with the wind speed being what it was, manoeuvres are so costly that it's actually really difficult to break a cover and then get back to the right side.
Yes.
And I think you saw a little bit of that with Team New Zealand they were going really well upwind, but they were also in the lead, able to hedge the right way, which more often than not meant we had to break the wrong. So tricky being behind today for sure.
Yeah, okay.
It always is, but particularly today.
So race one of the 37th America's Cup went to Emirates Team New Zealand. Congratulations to them. But then can we call it the highlight of the day? I kind of think in sporting context, it was a huge moment in the sport. It was the final of the Women's America's Cup, the first ever Women's America's Cup, a race between Athena Pathway, headed up by Hannah Mills, and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. They have gone through a series of 12 teams to get to this two-boat final, and we saw an incredible match in.
Yeah, it was a fantastic match, very close. Unfortunately, didn't go our way again, but yeah, I think the girls did a great job at sticking at it, keeping it close, and you've got to give credit to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli for getting the job done. A late entry here by Luna Rossa, not sure if that was deliberate or not, but actually gave them quite a nice spot to jump and start tight leeward in this race, and I think this was certainly a key part of it. They got pretty good spot off the start line and were just able to squeeze us off on that first board out to the port boundary.
And Giles, you were on board Chase 2 whilst this race was going on, and it's safe to say, yes, it would have been a moment in time for us. Yet we were analysing our own race, but it's safe to say that all of the senior team, the Ineos Britannia team, were glued to this, cheering the girls on, right?
Yeah, we were. We were a little bit torn because, as you say, we were analysing race one with this going on in the background, being quite the distraction. But yeah, it was a great race, and yeah, I'm fortunate for for the Brits not to quite have enough to get past. But yeah, what a race, and as Ian said, kept close all the way around, and I think the whole event's been a massive success. And we were sailing the AC40s a year ago now, and I'm certainly very fond of them. They're awesome. We call them little boats now, but they're not little boats. They're weapons.
Yeah.
They're it's been both the youth and the women's events have been amazing.
Fantastic. And I think we should leave the final word of the Women's America's Cup from our Athena Pathway women's skipper and CEO Hannah. So Hannah's onboard interview.
Yeah, it's been a long, amazing campaign. We've put so much into this, and I'm just so proud of all of our team that have worked so hard to get us to this point, and obviously our friends at Ineos Britannia who have been just unbelievably amazing as well, supporting us in this journey, and obviously the America's Cup and everyone that's put it on. I think this is for sure just the beginning of particularly women sailing in the Cup, and I'm so proud to be part of that first ever women's event. Obviously gutted to not deliver today, but just for the sport and for women sailing and for the young girls out there watching, like that, this is happening and it's going to be your time next.
Do you know, I don't think you can add anything on top of those words from Hannah. She's unbelievable. What they've achieved up the road has been unbelievable. Our youth team finished third, which was fantastic, and Hannah lost the final, finishing second. So an amazing result for Athena Pathway. But we have to give credit to Luna Rossa as well. They won the women and won the youth. So chapeau to that team.
Yeah, indeed.
Impressive. So Hannah, all the love and respect to you guys up the road. And as you said, this is just the start. We know that. So then, race 2 of the sailing today. Giles, the wind speeds conditions changed much or not really for this?
It picked up a little bit. We raced on our J2.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bit of a head sail change for us. And actually,
did they change? They went J3.
Yeah, they went J3. Yeah, they were J3. So both teams stepping down a code smaller.
But hang on a minute, before all the keyboard warriors start writing about, oh, you got the wrong jib call and all of that, the jibs are out of phase, right? We think the jibs are out of phase from our recon. In terms of sizes, they're not like our J1's the same size, their J2's the same size.
I'm not going to go to battle with any keyboards.
I did that and it didn't go well.
I'd imagine it didn't. Yeah, no, the yachts are configured a little differently. So yeah, there is some differences certainly in the hoist heights, and when they're matched, when they're matched correctly, when both boats are on the correct J, they may look as if one's got a bigger, one's got a smaller. We tend to have a slightly higher hoist. We have a pinhead jibs, and we also have a lot more freeboard. So the tack of our jib sits a lot higher. So yeah, there's little differences in there.
But we're happy with both our jib choices for both races today, weren't we?
Yeah, we were happy. We felt like we were on the right jib for both. And I'd imagine that the Kiwis would say the same.
Yeah, because that's why you practice and get these calls right. Touch wood. Ian, pre-start for race 2. Talk us through this one, legend.
Yeah, really interesting one. I think obviously they expected us to do this circle from the port end, having done it in every race in the Louis Vuitton final, and they chose to come back and try and pick us up here.
And they protested there, right? Yeah, there you go.
They did. I don't think the umpires would have thought. Yeah, there you go. No penalty came through pretty quick there, unsurprisingly. And I think it put us in a pretty strong position, leading back to the line with not a lot of time to kill. And honestly, I think they did a great job of just sending it in here, and I guess a little bit hoping that we weren't going to shut them out, but maybe judging it well as well. And they got in there with a bit more speed and were able to tack away. Yeah, a couple of seconds either way, and it could have been a different story. But nice job by them in the end there.
Almost a move in the TP52 fleet, famously known as the dead bird, coming in late at the starboard end, tacking out.
Yeah,
people who've done a bit of that would know about the dead bird.
Well,
yeah, sorry, go on.
First dead bird of the competition, I think.
Yeah, it's not normally a match race move, and it doesn't give them any control, but it certainly, I think it gets them out of the trouble that perhaps they were in. So good, good get out of jail free card, that one.
And Emirates Team New Zealand led around the first windward gate by about 10 seconds. But the first downwind there was a lead change. It got kind of sporty, and I'm sure it'll add fuel to the fire around the speed differences upwind versus downwind. That will go on, which is great. It's why people watch sport. But yeah, there was I think we crossed ahead after the first upwind, which we have got teed up here. We crossed ahead on the first downwind. So yeah, first upwind here.
Yeah, this is the first cross where we dipped them. It was obviously very tight.
We just lost the video there. But yeah, so we were coming out from the, here we go, Ian, talk us through it.
From the left side, so we've just done the 1 tack, they've done the 2, but they picked up a little bit more pressure on the right-hand side, and that just gives them that first cross. Still tight coming into the top gate here, and I think, they get the option here to pick the gate, and I'm not sure if it's boat speed or whether it's a bit more pressure that we picked up, but we managed to come right back into the race here, and really there's no control here. This is anybody's race at this point, and really could have gone either way.
Giles crossing on the first downwind then,
yeah.
But it's kind of that wind strength where that was almost too close to kind of jibe and match them out the other way, or
right on the edge, isn't it?
Right on the edge.
It's close. But, I mean, you can see there with the speed differences between the yachts. There's probably a little bit of a lefty in there with us sitting on 41 knots on starboard, and the Kiwis look like they're trying to sail out through an unfavourable shift, potentially getting a bit slow, maybe a little bit stally. Down more like 34s, 35s here. So yeah, I mean it was all on, but yeah, unfortunately it didn't last too long.
And when we came to the end of this leg 2, New Zealand had the lead again, slightly extended on the upwind again for reasons you've already spoken about.
Yeah,
it was close. It was close for the first 2 laps, and eventually when we got the split, they went out to left boundary on the third upwind with only maybe a 10-second lead around the leeward gate. We went right. They picked up nice shift and pressure on the left-hand side, and in my mind, that's all she wrote for that race. Is that a fair synopsis?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fair. Yeah, it was, from that first cross point there where we got the lead. As you say, the Kiwis stood on and almost got that gain that we had back.
Yes.
Led round the bottom gate, and yeah, picked the right side, and yeah, it was over.
And Giles, I'm gonna ask you a question. Here's a real insight for our fans at home. Dylan made a comment in capture. Dills, don't kill me for saying this. He said it feels like racing, like a different style of racing to how we've raced against Prada and how we've raced against Alinghi. Like all sports, like if you play Wales in rugby or All Blacks in rugby, there's different styles that you're coming up against. And Dylan said today it feels like a different style to what we've come up against in the LV.
Yeah, and
not saying that it's better or it's just different.
Well, it is different, and he hasn't said that because it's a surprise. We
knew.
We knew that, and we've been planning for it. With all the work that we've been doing in the run up to this, we have been expecting that, and I think that the pre-starts today that you saw have kind of shown that a little bit. It's not quite as formulaic as some of the pre-starts that we've seen historically. So yeah, it's all on. We know it's going to be tough, and the Kiwis are pretty handy, and we're going to have to bring our A game from tomorrow to beat them.
Yeah, there's a reason they're going for the 3-peat, and that's because they're pretty handy, Giles. We've got just enough time for a few questions at the end of this first show of this America's Cup. How many jibs have we used, and from the ones that we are allowed, and how many have NZ used? Now, it's safe to say Team New Zealand will be on all brand new fruit. We would expect pretty much today. Like, obviously, they haven't gone through the battles of the LV. That's like a defender's privilege, right?
Yeah, so it's every team is limited on the number of sails that they can card, and I am not going to say the number because I'm probably going to get it wrong, but I'm not going to even say. Anyway, we've hit our maximum quota.
Yep.
So we've used all our cards, and we've run it pretty carefully to make sure that we have new sails in good shape for the America's Cup. But as you say, we've got to be on point from the round robin ultimately. So yeah, it is slightly different, but yeah, we're out of sail cards. and I'd imagine the Kiwis are as well now. But yeah, they'll have a few newer ones, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that's a fair point. A question from Freddie here. Kiwis foils look larger. Are they, and why? Giles, sorry, and I'm going to go to Giles again here, chap.
That's fine.
They may be slightly larger. We measure them off photographs, so we have a bit of our designers have an error bar in terms of how confident they are in their measuring method, and they're pretty similar. Maybe a click larger than the foils we're using.
Yes, okay. And that's all from photographs that we're scaling and guessing, a really well-educated guess.
A very well-educated guess. And it's pretty handy in these yachts because with the windward foil it comes up and it's stored pretty much, not exactly vertically, but close enough to it. So you can get a 90-degree photo and do some scaling off some known measurements from the yacht and work it out from there.
I tell you what, Mozzie Sales gives us a shout out on his amazing podcast reviewing bits and bobs. So shout out to him. Freddie, if you want to go and learn about foils, go and tune into that, and there'll be 20 minutes of foil chat to fill your heart's content, let's say. Ian, what did we learn today? I think we learned that the Kiwis are bloody good. It's going to be a hell of a battle.
Yeah, I guess we relearned that, didn't we?
We relearned
knew
that,
they were going to be good, but we're definitely in it. They didn't blow us away. We couple of real fine points off the start. If we'd got ahead, it feels like we've got the speed certainly to stay ahead. It's hard when you're behind.
Yeah, and Giles, tricky day to read too much into. Everyone's going to be talking about performance. Who's faster? Who's slower?
Yeah.
Tricky day to pick too much into that.
It is a tricky day to try and pick it out, but we're going to give it a good go overnight. But yeah, it was tricky. Shifty, puffy winds. It's always going to be difficult. But the yachts are close. The yachts are close enough for either team to win races, and that's certainly what we're going to focus on.
Yes, good man. Well said. Outlook for tomorrow is slightly lighter than today, but today was slightly lighter than forecast, so it could end up being similar-ish to today, the kind of 6 to 10 knot range again.
Yeah. So hopefully, if Cappy, our weather forecaster's numbers come good, we'll be racing no problem. But yeah, there's some potential for a little bit of waiting around in those lighter winds. So and fingers crossed we'll get away. And you've already mentioned there was a slightly confused swell today. That's less of a feature potentially. Yeah. So slightly calmer seas tomorrow, which again another very slight change in conditions from today. So yeah, another chance to see how the yachts stack up against one another. Perfect. Chaps, that's us. Thanks for joining us. It's really quite nice for me. You add a nice little balance at the end of the day. Send me off to bed happy. Yes. So tomorrow, that was the first day. I think we reaffirmed what we already knew about Team New Zealand. There's a pretty good reason why these guys are going for the three-peat of America's Cups. They are an incredibly sharp outfit. But we feel like we're in a boat race. We feel like we've got a great boat, and we are going to come out swinging tomorrow, as always, in our measured way. And we're looking forward to that. So it's races 3 and 4 of the 37th America's Cup tomorrow. We will be debriefing it this time tomorrow night. So join us then on the Inside Tack.